Have you ever felt like a square peg in a round hole? As an English learner, you're not alone. Idioms can be tricky, but mastering them can take your communication skills to the next level. Let me tell you a funny story about a character who took this idiom a little too literally. My friend, Alex, was helping his neighbor move into a new apartment. When his neighbor asked him to find a place for a large, square dresser in a small, round alcove, Alex, misunderstanding the idiom, enthusiastically tried to cram it in. So, what does a square peg in a round hole actually mean? This idiom describes a person who feels out of place or doesn't fit in with their surroundings. Let's see how this idiom can be used correctly. Maria had always dreamed of becoming an artist, but her parents wanted her to be an accountant. She felt like a square peg in a round hole, constantly struggling to conform to her parents' expectations instead of pursuing her true passion. Here are some examples of how to use a square peg in a round hole in different contexts. Casual conversation: she just doesn't seem to fit in with the rest of the team. She's a total square peg in a round hole. Formal setting: the new management structure was a poor fit for our company culture, leaving many employees feeling like square pegs in round holes. Negative context: I've always felt like a square peg in a round hole, never quite belonging anywhere. Humorous context: my boss tried to squeeze me into that tiny cubicle. Talk about a square peg in a round hole. Literary context: she was a free-spirited artist, a square peg in the round hole of her small-town upbringing. Business setting: we need to find a candidate who is a perfect fit for this role, not a square peg in a round hole. Social media usage: when you're the only introvert in a group of extroverts, you feel like a square peg in a round hole. #relatable. To remember the meaning of a square peg in a round hole, think of a literal square peg that just won't fit into a round hole. It's a visual representation of feeling out of place or not belonging. The idiom "a square peg in a round hole" gained traction in the early 19th century, possibly influenced by the writings of British polymath Sydney Smith. His witty observations on societal misfits may have contributed to the idiom's popularization. Some interpret this idiom as reflecting the challenges faced by those who don't conform to societal expectations. The usage of this idiom has consistently described someone who feels out of place or mismatched in their environment. Some similar idioms include fish out of water, round peg in a square hole, and odd man out. Opposite idioms would be a perfect fit or right at home. Related idioms could be marching to the beat of your own drum or going against the grain. For example, I could say, she felt like a square peg in a round hole, constantly trying to conform to her parents' expectations. To rephrase that without using the idiom, she struggled to fit in with her surroundings, as her true passions and interests didn't align with what was expected of her. I remember a time when my friend, Sarah, used the idiom "a square peg in a round hole" perfectly in a conversation. She was talking about her experience as a creative writer in a corporate office environment, and how she constantly felt out of place and misunderstood by her more business-oriented colleagues. One common mistake is using "a square peg in a round hole" incorrectly by saying "a square peg in a square hole" or "a round peg in a round hole." Another frequent misunderstanding is thinking the idiom means literally trying to force a square object into a round opening, like my friend Alex did. Inappropriately, people sometimes use this idiom to describe a person who is simply different, without considering if they truly feel out of place or don't belong. Quiz time! 1. What does the idiom "a square peg in a round hole" mean? A. Trying to force a square object into a round opening. B. Feeling out of place or not fitting in. C. Conforming to societal expectations. D. All of the above. 2. Which of these is a synonym for a square peg in a round hole? A. A perfect fit. B. Marching to the beat of your own drum. C. Fish out of water. D. Right at home. 3. Which of these is an antonym for a square peg in a round hole? A. Odd man out. B. Going against the grain. C. Round peg in a square hole. D. A perfect fit. In summary, a square peg in a round hole is a common idiom that describes someone who feels out of place or doesn't fit in with their surroundings. Understanding this idiom can help you communicate more effectively and connect with others who may share similar experiences. Now it's your turn. Try using the idiom "a square peg in a round hole" in a sentence about your own life or experiences. I'd love to hear how you relate to this expression. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more English idiom lessons.